Biden's war on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will come to an end when I become president.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, Bitcoin is actually still continuing to put in these lower lows. If we have a look right here, you can see that we are still in this falling wedge pattern, and we have kind of perfectly touched the bottom, and we have discussed the fact that these falling wedge patterns are inherently technically bullish patterns. However, there is a little bit of a warning that I do want to show you, because on another chart, we're seeing something that we need to be very, very careful with. So I want to talk about that. Also, did you guys hear about that bald coin rug pull that just absolutely dumped? Well, it gets crazy because now they're saying that SBF could have been involved. And it actually gets even crazier than that, the conspiracy theory, involving Gary Gensler, the SEC. Yeah, really, really crazy stuff, guys. In fact, Coinbase has recently kind of come out and confirmed that the SEC was ultimately trying to kill crypto in the United States deliberately. So, and now they're also going against Richard Hart. So there's a lot of crazy stuff we have to go over today. I want to go over some charts. There are some things we cannot ignore, we need to pay attention to, because we know that we're going to get that volatility soon because of those Bollinger Bands. So stick with me, guys. I know it's been a couple days I haven't made a video, but let's dive in. Let's have a look at what's going on, because right now you guys can see that we are still in this falling wedge, but what we don't want to do is sort of lose this $28,300 area right here, right? Because that was sort of where we were having this area of, resistance support. You don't want to lose that, because then what happens is, well, look where we are right now. We're sitting right at this blue zone, and that could potentially, risk us coming way back down, to something like this, because once we lose that upward sloping trend, we put in a lower low, then, we may have to have that retest. Now, obviously, something that is a little bit worrisome right now is this. The fact that you can see right here, when we're looking at the guppy on the daily, you can see that when we fall below it, we, sometimes we have these really steep corrections down here. Same thing right here. As soon as we got below it, that was from May 12th, and then we didn't get back above it until June 21st, right? So we were down there for quite some time. And that is kind of the warning, because look at how big of a dip that we got back here. Now, obviously, these present amazing opportunities for accumulation, buying, longing, etc. But you can see right here, we are dipping below that area. So what do we need to do? Well, ultimately, we need to pretty much kind of hold where we're at right now, because even on futures, you could see that that is the level. Now, of course, we do have this, major upward sloping trend. But if we did come all the way back down there, that would lose this right here, which means we're probably going to end up in this range even longer than we had anticipated. But right now, as I'm making this video, you're basically on the line. If you are looking to build a potential long, obviously put your stop losses in there, but this would be the area. I mean, if you've been waiting for that pullback, we were up at around 31, almost 32,000, and we've pulled down to, this area. So you're getting the 10% discount on this recent Bitcoin move. And as we've been saying, these Bollinger Bands have never been this tight on the weekly in Bitcoin's history. Out of all of Bitcoin's history, it's never been this tight. So you know that we are due for that explosion. And again, the only thing I've been saying is, could we potentially retest this downwards parallel channel? Sure. Maybe we come back down, revisit the area right there, that sort of $25,300 Terra Luna area, right? And then maybe we do continue to the upside. And then, of course, our next target would be around $37,700. But, just looking at the macro, even not just looking at Bitcoin, like Tech Dev pointed out, if you look at these global cycles, and this is, all different types of, markets, the Chinese stock exchange, the DXY, you just look at the correlation between that, and you look at the correlation between Bitcoin, and you look at the MACD, which I did tell you just turned green, you can see that we are actually, regardless of everything that's going on right now, just looking at the charts, we are in fact due for that cyclic move, right? And if you do think that we're in the accumulation phase right now, then yes, we could be due for a correction the same way that we had back here in 2019, 2020, where we came all the way up to 14,000, right? And then we had like a mid rally and then we came back down. Now, I don't think we're going to go all the way down to this level because remember, that was COVID. But yeah, it could be possible that we could come up here, come back down, and then, have that $200,000 target potentially by 2025. And just looking like T Analyst pointed out, it's very similar how we're having these retests 2014, 2017, right? What do you have? You have this massive area of support, and then that area becomes resistance, and then as soon as you break through, you're off to the races. Although you could argue that right here it did have a retest. So it's a very similar area. This was that $30,000 area, right? Where we stayed at for about a year and a half, and then it became resistance. Again, we may have a couple more struggles breaking through it, but once we do eventually get through that, then we know that we are off to the races. So before we get into like the dismal, crazy conspiracy, SEC, SBF, IRS, all that stuff, I did want to just give a shout out to the fact that we are seeing a lot of these public figures waking up to Bitcoin. In this particular example, we have Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, of course, when I speak politically, you understand that I don't really have a stance on either side, Democrat, Republican, whatever you choose is fine. I just speak from a standpoint of wanting crypto to be a thing in the United States, wanting to have financial freedom and the ability to transact in whatever way, we want to. So he was talking at a campaign in New Hampshire, and he reiterated his plans on banning central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, should he win the Republican nomination and presidential race in 2025. The Florida governor added he planned to end U.S. President Joe Biden's war on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency should he win the presidency.
Biden's war on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will come to an end when I become president.
So obviously they say it's unclear which specific policies DeSantis was referring to, but he did suggest that they were coming through the Federal Reserve. He actually went on to say, quote, "The Fed wants to go on a cashless society. They want to eliminate cryptocurrency. As president, on day one, CBDCs go into the trash can. We're not going to allow it." Now, let's talk about this rug pull. So there was this bald coin, ticker bald, right? And I guess they say that millions got rugged in ETH, and now there's rumors that FTX could be involved. Now, let's dive into this a bit. So how did this happen? Well, you can see right here, they kind of break it down. I don't really feel like getting into the technicalities. If you want, you can go on Twitter. There's all these threads. So basically, the deployer added liquidity, which caused the massive price pump. Then they started bidding bald to bait buyers into buying before rugging the entire pool, right? So they were seeing these big, orders. They were getting excited. The price was pumping. And I mean, it was literally just boom. Like it was just like a straight shot down, right? Pretty scary looking. Kind of looks like Batman. You guys got Batman. You got Batman if you bought bald. So listen to this. This is crazy. So Wintermute, head of research, found some on-chain information. And again, I'm not going to go into all the information. You can go on Twitter. But they're saying that the bald meme coin developer could have been connected to Alameda Research. Central to his findings is an older wallet connected to Alameda, which used the same FTX address as the bald deployer. Now, Jacket over here says Sam Bankman-Fried gets pardoned. Weird-ass bald coin gets made on Base. Bald deployer has connections to Alameda and Sushi Votes. Bald deployer and SBF both use NOR in weird ways, being do not send the bridge, the sex, nor from a contract, nor from a chain that isn't the ETH mainnet. Was bald like a weird attack sort of thing by SBF? Just seems kind of weird, the sentence structure. So they did some digging. And then breaking, rumors SBF has created bald in collaboration with government agencies to prove how fraudulent crypto is, supporting their case against Coinbase. Now, take this with a grain of salt. There's no hardcore evidence on this. There is some evidence that the wallets are somewhat linked. There's no evidence that it's definitely SBF, right? We're just having some fun here. But can you imagine if this was some corrupt scheme to prove how fraudulent crypto was? Now, that would be crazy because they would inherently know that people were going to get hurt, right? So they would be intentionally hurting people, but that is a crazy idea. But is it crazy? Is it crazy? Because listen to this story. Before suing Coinbase, the SEC reportedly requested Coinbase to halt trading in all cryptocurrencies except for Bitcoin. So according to Brian Armstrong in a recent Financial Times interview, he said, quote, "They came back to us and they said, we believe every asset other than Bitcoin is a security. And we said, well, how are you coming to that conclusion? Because that's not our interpretation of the law. And they said, we're not going to explain it to you. You need to delist every asset other than Bitcoin." So Brian Armstrong, he said that his company was left with no choice but to allow the matter to go to court, as compliance with the order would have meant, quote, "the end of the crypto industry in the United States." Now, on the flip side, the SEC has refuted Armstrong's claims and told the Financial Times that it did not make any formal requests for companies to delist crypto assets. Now, who's telling the truth and who's lying? Why would Brian Armstrong at Coinbase have any reason to be making any of this up when we've seen over and over again the SEC? Now, here's something interesting. So we had the XRP verdict, right, that came out. But now you have Terraform Labs and its founder, Do Kwon, all right, Terra Luna, you guys remember that. They're currently facing an enforcement case brought by the SEC. Surprise, surprise. I feel like I can't go a day without the SEC being in the news. In their defense, they argued that the recent split decision in the SEC's case against Ripple Labs invalidated the agency's case against them, right? Ruling that Ripple is not a security. XRP, the token, the coin, is not a security. So Judge Jed Rakoff of the U.S. District Court for Southern New York, however, rejected the argument, dismissing the notion of drawing a distinction between coins based on their manner of sale, a stance that directly contradicts the approach adopted by another judge in the Ripple case. So are they saying that that verdict doesn't matter and we still have to just take everything case by case by case? So the judge went on to say, it may also be mentioned that the court declines to draw a distinction between these coins based on their manner of sale, such that coins sold directly to institutional investors are considered securities, but those sold to secondary market and retail are not. In doing so, the court rejects the approach recently adopted by another judge of this district in a similar case. So now it's kind of sounding like maybe the victory doesn't matter because they're still just going to take it on a case-to-case level. Now, Mike Selig said the decision on Terraform's motion to dismiss the SEC versus Terraform's lab isn't exactly the win that the SEC wanted. So at first it did seem a little bit negative, but they said that Judge Rakoff agreed with Judge Torres that crypto assets in and of themselves are not investment contracts. So if we look at it from that perspective, then that's actually bad for the SEC. But nevertheless, guys, the SEC is out, and now they're going after Richard Hart. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are into Hex. It's very popular. It's a very large community. But they're now filing a lawsuit against Richard Schuler. I didn't actually know that was his name, by the way. And his startup Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX. So this lawsuit is alleging that Hart conducted multiple unregistered security offerings, raising more than $1 billion in total. Instead of fulfilling his company's development or marketing obligations, Hart and Pulse Chain used at least $12.1 million of investor funds for Hart's personal luxury purchases, including a 555-carat diamond, expensive watches, and high-end automobiles. So they go on to allege that a majority of the 2.3 million ETH raised, worth $678 million at the time, comprised of recycling transactions directed by Hart or other insiders, which enable Hart and others to gain control of a large number of Hex tokens while creating false impression of significant trading volume and organic demand for Hex tokens. So again, if we're going to go with the not all tokens are securities, well, they're still coming after saying it's securities, but now they're adding the fraud part in there too. So I don't know if this is just going to be one of those Richard has to just pay like $1 million in fines, or if this is going to be an actual criminal thing. So we'll have to see. But again, SBF is walking around. So I don't know. It's very backwards, everything that's going on. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you want to just end on some good news, totally kidding. According to the IRS, crypto staking rewards are taxable once received. The U.S. tax collector will require taxpayers to count staking rewards as gross income at the time that they gain dominion over the tokens. So again, you're supposed to pay exactly when you get it, down to the second of the price of the asset of the time, even though it fluctuates all over the place. So crazy, ridiculous stuff going on over here. But again, having a look at this, you can see right now we're already starting to get sucked back up into this. So I'll tell you what, guys, if we actually close this daily candle back in there, then I would say that is actually quite bullish. You know, and if we just have a look at these monthly candles, you know, I mean, yeah, it was a red candle, but it didn't go lower than the previous green candle. So as long as we stayed above that 27, then I'm still bullish. I still remain bullish, guys. I think this might be a potentially good opportunity for buying, not financial advice. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. If you do want to learn how to trade, make sure that you check out the tutorials popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.